Why is it important to learn about sexual and gender-based harassment? We're a school and a community that cares about one another. School is a place where everyone should feel safe and supported. As members of a school community, we have a responsibility to treat each other with kindness and respect, tolerant of diverse cultures, backgrounds, and ideas. Students who experience sexual and gender-based harassment can feel unsafe and uncomfortable in class, in the halls, on the bus, or in after-school activities. Sexual and gender-based harassment sends a message to others that they are not respected or valued. As students, it is important to understand sexual and gender-based harassment so that you are aware of which types of behaviors are hurtful to others as well as unacceptable. Sexual and gender-based harassment is not only unacceptable within school, but it can also have legal consequences outside of school. By understanding what sexual and gender-based harassment is, you will have the information you need to make good decisions. Finally, it is important to learn about how you can report sexual and gender-based harassment if it is happening to you or other students in your school. As a caring school community, we are expected to support one another and report harassment when we see it. What is harassment? Harassment is a course of conduct which annoys, threatens, intimidates, alarms, or puts a person in fear of his or her safety. Harassment is unwanted, unwelcomed, and uninvited behavior that humiliates, threatens, or offends the victim and results in a hostile environment for the victim and bystanders. Harassing behavior may include, but is not limited to, comments or slurs meant to be hurtful, crude sexual propositions, assault, blocking movement, offensive touching, or any physical interference with normal school activity, and visual insults such as posters or cartoons that are mean and disrespectful. What is sexual and gender-based harassment? Sexual harassment includes any unwelcome sexual propositions, regardless of sexual orientation, requests for sexual favors, and other inappropriate verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature that creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive environment. What is an example of sexual and gender-based harassment? An example of sexual harassment would be if a student had a relationship with another student, and after the couple broke up, other students in the school began calling the student names of a sexual nature that were offensive, or spread rumors about his or her sexual behavior, and sent the student threatening text messages and social media posts. Some of these behaviors not only violate FCPS rules and policy, but may also be criminal, such as sexting or threats to harm. Does sexual and gender-based harassment include harassment based on gender identity? Yes. A situation where a student is being harassed because they do not act, appear, or identify themselves according to what some people think is a typical boy or a typical girl would be considered sexual and gender-based harassment. What is an example of sexual harassment based on gender identity? One example would be if a girl was being made fun of by other students in the hallways and during class because she liked to wear boys' pants, boys' shirts, always cut her hair short, and always spoke in a deep voice. Another example would be if a boy was called offensive names in school and was being sent inappropriate sexual comments through text messages because the other students said he walked like a girl, he liked to sing in the choir, and he wore pink shirts a lot to school. How is sexual harassment different from bullying? Bullying is any aggressive and unwanted behavior that is intended to harm, intimidate, or humiliate the victim. It involves a real or perceived power imbalance between the aggressor or aggressors and the victim, and it is repeated over time or causes severe emotional trauma. Bullying also involves a clear and identifiable target. Harassment does not have to be directed at a specific target, does not have to involve repeated incidents, and does not have to include an intent to cause harm. However, it is important to note that even if a person did not intend to cause harm, the person experiencing the harassment may view it as harmful and unwanted. What are examples of how a situation may be bullying versus sexual and gender-based harassment? If a female student's physical appearance is repeatedly made fun of by another female student, this could be considered bullying if the intent behind this behavior was meant to hurt the student, and if the student engaging in the bullying behavior was seen to have more social power. It could also be considered bullying because there had been repeated instances of the offending behavior. However, if a male student starts asking a group of female students for sexual favors one day after school, this could be considered sexual harassment if the behavior is unwelcome and is causing an intimidating environment for the female students. It would still be considered sexual harassment even if the male student was not necessarily intending to hurt the female students with his comments, did not necessarily direct his comments to one student in particular, and had only made these comments to the female students this one time. What are the consequences for sexual and gender-based harassment? If students are accused of sexual and gender-based harassment, schools will investigate the incident as outlined in the SR&R. If the allegations are determined to be true, consequences will depend on the circumstances and severity of the behavior. They could range from requests to participate in a restorative justice conference to determine a way that the harm done can be repaired, suspension from school and/or particular extracurricular activities, change in class schedule to remove the student from contact with the victim, a review of the student's record with the regional assistant superintendent and the student and parents to determine if the student has been involved in other incidents of bullying or harassment, and more intensive consequences or interventions are needed. The student may be placed on probation. In severe cases, a referral may be made to the division superintendent to consider reassignment to a different school or an alternative school program. In addition to disciplinary consequences, students may also be referred to the school counselor, psychologist, or social worker for additional interventions. How do I report sexual and gender-based harassment? If you are concerned that you or a friend are being sexually harassed or harassed based on gender, gender identity, or gender nonconformity, you can first tell a trusted adult. Trusted adults could include your parents or guardians, teachers, school counselors, administrators, or other school personnel. If not previously done so, either you or a trusted adult should then report the incident or incidents of alleged harassment to school administration. In some cases, the SRO may also be an important resource. You or adults are also able to report concerns about sexual and gender-based harassment to the FCPS tip line by calling 703-658-3636 or going to the website. Concerns can be shared anonymously through the FCPS tip line. Information around sexual and gender-based harassment will be forwarded to the Title IX coordinator of FCPS. Additionally, students, parents and guardians, school system employees, and community members may report incidents of sexual and gender-based harassment directly to the designated Title IX coordinator for Fairfax County Public Schools. Likewise, anyone can reach out directly to the Office of Civil Rights if they feel that their concerns have not been adequately addressed by FCPS. You can contact the U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights at either 1-800-421-3481 or through their website. The Title IX coordinator for Fairfax County Public Schools is Kevin Sills, Director, Department of Human Resources, Office of Equity and Employee Relations, 8115 Gatehouse Road, Suite 2100, Falls Church, Virginia, 22042. If you'd like to call or send a fax, the phone number is 571-423-3070, and the fax number is 571-423-3057. Where can you find more information? Please look to the FCPS Student Rights and Responsibilities, Fairfax County Public Schools Regulation 4950.3, entitled Sexual Harassment. Also, the FCPS Office of Equity and Employee Relations and the U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights at the websites listed here.